We are master tamers. We took the wolf, all teeth and suspicion, and turned it into the dog asleep at your feet. We turned the wild boar into the pig, the fierce aurochs into the gentle cow, the jungle fowl into the chicken. In every case, we did it the same way. We bred the friendly ones and ignored the rest. But there is one animal we domesticated without ever deciding to: ourselves. To see it, you first have to know what domestication actually does to a body. When you tame a wild animal over many generations, something strange happens. You do not just change its behavior, you change how it looks. And weirdly, you change it in the same direction every single time. Tame animals share a bizarre checklist: smaller teeth and shorter jaws than their wild cousins, smaller brains, floppier ears, curlier tails, patches of white fur where the wild version is all one color, and faces that stay soft and babyish into adulthood instead of growing long and fierce. Scientists call this the domestication syndrome, and it shows up in dogs, pigs, horses, rabbits, almost everywhere we look. The strangest part is that nobody breeds for floppy ears. They breed for friendliness. The rest comes along for free, like a package deal you did not order. And we know this because of one beautiful, slightly mad experiment. In Soviet Russia, a scientist named Dmitry Belyaev took wild silver foxes, snarling, bite-your-hand foxes, and bred them with one rule. Only the calmest, least aggressive animals in each generation were allowed to have pups. Nothing else, just tameness. And within only a handful of generations, the foxes began to change in ways he never selected for. Their ears went floppy, their tails started to curl and wag. Patches of white appeared on their fur. Their faces turned rounder and more puppy-like. He bred for a gentle mind, and a cute body came with it, automatically. Friendliness and these features are wired together at a level deeper than appearance. Now hold that checklist up against ourselves. Compare a modern human skull to our ancestors from a few 100,000 years ago or to a chimpanzee. The trend is unmistakable. Our faces got flatter and smaller. Our teeth and jaws shrank. The heavy brow ridge, that thick bony shelf over the eyes, melted away. Even our brains are slightly smaller than they were in the recent past. In other words, we look like a tamed version of an earlier human. We kept the soft, rounded, almost childlike features of a young ape and carried them into adulthood. Set us beside our wild ancestors, and we are the floppy-eared foxes of the human story. The domestication syndrome is written into your own face. But the real giveaway is how we behave. Think about what you did today. You walked, sat, or stood among dozens, maybe hundreds of complete strangers, on a train, in a shop, on a street, and nothing happened. No fighting, no bloodshed, you barely noticed. That is astonishing. Pack 100 unfamiliar chimpanzees into an airplane and you would not land with 100 chimpanzees. There would be carnage long before takeoff. Chimps cannot tolerate crowds of strangers. We do it constantly, without thinking. Our everyday calm around strangers is one of the most unusual social traits on the planet. Scientists split aggression into two kinds: hot-blooded reactive aggression, the snap, the flash of temper, the lashing out, and cold, planned, proactive aggression. Domestication mostly strips out the first kind, and humans, compared to our wild relatives, have remarkably low reactive aggression. We are, by ape standards, astonishingly slow to bite. Which raises the obvious question: if we are domesticated, then who did the breeding? There was no human farmer choosing the gentle ones. The answer is that we did it to ourselves, and there are a couple of ideas about how. One is dark but compelling. Early humans, once they had language and weapons, could do something no other ape can: gang up. A group could agree that a violent, bullying man was a problem and simply remove him by exile or by execution. Do that for enough generations and you are quietly weeding the most aggressive genes out of the population again and again. The other is gentler. As survival came to depend on cooperation, the friendly, even-tempered partner became the desirable one, the one chosen, the one who thrived and raised more children. Either way, the effect is the same as Belyaev's foxes. Generation after generation, the calmest among us left behind the most descendants. We bred ourselves tame. And we are not the only ape this happened to. Bonobos, our other closest cousins, went through their own self-domestication in the wild. Next to aggressive chimps, bonobos are gentler, more playful, more juvenile in the face, and famous for resolving conflict with affection instead of violence. It can happen on its own, no humans required. So here is the strange truth to sit with. You are a domesticated animal, not by a farmer's hand, but by your own ancestors, who, over thousands of generations, kept choosing the gentle over the savage. The soft face in the mirror, the calm in a crowd of strangers, the ability to live shoulder to shoulder with millions of people you will never meet, none of it is an accident. We did not just build a civilization. First, we had to tame the animal that could live in one, and that animal was us. If you enjoyed this, subscribe and tell me what to tame next.